The holidays are often the first time parents are introduced to a young adult's new romantic partner, which can be a source of rejoicing for some and head-scratching or downright dismay for others. Here with advice on dealing with your teen or young adult child's love life is WSJ columnist Sue Shellenbarger. Sue, great to see you.
Good to see you, Tanya.
So, Sue, it can be argued that the person our children choose for their life partner could have the greatest long-term impact on their lives, more perhaps even than education or choice of career. But how much influence, if any, do parents really have over who their children choose?
Well, parents actually have more influence than they think, perhaps not as much as they might like to have, but much of the influence is indirect through the example they set, the peer groups they guide their child to, and also the quality of their own one-on-one bond with their child.
So what can directly, influence the choices of partners?
What parents see having an effect are usually the peer group, the cultural standards of attractiveness, and interestingly, the research shows that how attractive a teen believes him or herself to be also has a big impact, that more attractive kids are usually saying they're more satisfied with their romantic relationships.
So interesting. Now, in those cases where your children bring home someone that you as parents are just mystified by, you're scratching your head wondering what your son or daughter could possibly see in this person, what is it important as a parent not to do?
Well, your first reaction might be to race in and try to break up the relationship somehow by expressing disapproval. This could create the Romeo and Juliet effect and drive the two closer than ever. Probably better to just be very restrained and polite and try not to meddle.
Now, are there ways of subtly conveying a negative opinion, or is even that too dangerous?
I didn't find any parents who had success with that. I think by the time a young adult's bringing home someone to meet the parents, it's very hard to exert any outward pressure. One dad did have some success by actually embracing his daughter's boyfriend, bringing him into the family. So she got a really up close look at what he was like and how he was around the family members. And this actually caused her to lose interest. But you have to be very diplomatic and tactful in those situations.
And that was a guy that the father did not initially like, correct? So
That's right.
Brought him in even though he didn't like him.
That's right. He could see the guy having a negative effect on his daughter, and I thought he was rather clever. Some people might think that was a little bit controlling, but for others it would work just fine.
That's right. Now, Sue, what does research show us about how the parent-child relationship can shape the kinds of romantic relationships our children develop?
This was interesting. We all have heard about the research on how the closeness of the parent-child bond in infancy is important, but we know much more now that a parent has an enduring influence all the way through the adolescent years and even into young adulthood based on the quality of their one-on-one bond with their child. If a parent has a warm, responsive, compassionate bond with that child all the way through the teenage years, the child is going to expect that from other intimate relationships and just unconsciously seek out people who have those same things to offer.
That's very good to know. So, Sue, as hard as it may be, giving our children then the freedom and autonomy to make their own mistakes, date whoever they like without too much input from us is important then.
Well, in addition to keeping them safe, of course, that is the first priority. But I found that the research shows giving a child just gradually increasing amounts of autonomy through adolescence lets them make mistakes where the consequences aren't so bad. They happen earlier. Right. Maybe they have a little romance with somebody who doesn't work out. They learn from that. If you restrict them and prohibit dating, say until they're 16 or 18, oftentimes a child goes into it very naively and makes bigger mistakes.
And what about that first serious crush that all kids have? Sometimes they have them quite young. What should we be careful not to do when they have that first crush?
This is one of the most common mistakes. Wendell Furman at the University of Denver has done a lot of research on this, and he says the worst thing you can do is to tease them about it or treat it like puppy love. He said to the child, this shows that you don't understand him or her. You don't see what's really important. If you think back to that first crush, it looms very large. It matters a lot. So don't make fun of it. Be respectful of it and talk with the child about it. It's another teaching opportunity.
Absolutely. That first crush is very serious indeed. All right, Sue Shellenbarger, thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Tanya.